This is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today I've got something really cool to show you. I've got a couple of very clear finds from the Perseverance Rover, and if you're new to this channel, bear with me, okay? And I would advise, if you're new to this channel, to go on my playlist page on my YouTube channel and scroll down, and there's a playlist here called Mars Helmets Ancient Warrior Evidence, okay? And there's 25 videos there. There are more than 25 out of these things. There's probably about 30, but there's about 20 or so that are clear. Some are a bit too small and a bit too far away. But what I'm going to show you today is really quite large and quite near the rover. And what's very good about this one is that there's something else here as well, which is also very clear and quite large. And I'm going to show you them on here first. Now, this is in the center of the image, here, the center of the Gigapan. We have this, what I've called the stone head, okay? We have a squarish looking rock, which has a carving of a face with a very large mouth, which looks damaged here. A quite crude looking nose, and two quite crude eye sockets that are carved into it. Now, this is fairly primitive looking, and it's probably very ancient, I don't know. I've got a size comparison for this as well, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And there's also this thing. Now, this is over to the right of the Gigapan. I'll show you where they are in a second. And this is a helmet, which seems to have someone that's still in it. In other words, this is a decap, or decapitated person or soldier, right? That's what it looks like. That's what it appears to be. And I've got the left and right one here. This is the right one, and this is the left one. I'm going to go back a bit like this, and then show you again with the magnifier. The left one is slightly better. It's slightly better angle, and you can see here we have what looks like a bronze helmet or some similar kind of alloy, with a head in there, with a large gaping mouth, with teeth and a chin and an eye here. And the helmet has a crest on it which comes to here. The crest comes round like this and stops here. It looks like it's damaged, the helmet here. And on the right one, you can see that there's some damage to it. The crest may have come out further to here and has broken off or been struck. What's good about this set of images is we have some nice rover tracks near these objects, which we know the size of, so we can use them as a ruler. Now, this is the stone head. This is the masked right view of it, and you can clearly see that that's not just a random rock, because we have eye sockets, we have a nose, we have a mouth, although damaged, and a chin here. It's very crude. It looks damaged here. The chin seems broken, and the mouth there. And there's a sort of random weird shaped thing behind it here, which it may be attached to just there, okay? And you can see this on the actual Mars NASA page here. This is it. Mars Perseverance, Song 1695, left mass cam Z camera, okay? And there it is. And I'll show you, just to prove that it's real, that this is the actual website you get the images from by NASA and JPL, and here it is, just there. It looks really clear even in the raw image. The raw images are very bright. This is very bright and a bit hard to work out what you're looking at, which is why on this Gigapan here I've got the enhanced one here at the top and the raw one at the bottom, so you can see the raw image. You can see all this stuff in the raw image just here, okay? And then you can look up to the top and see the enhanced version, which has been color corrected and darkened, okay? And there it is. There's the rover track here. The rover's down here, right? And it's looking across and taking all these photos, which are then stitched together. There's about 100 of them. And you can see the rover tracks here, okay? Now, a single rover wheel is 15.75 inches. Just under 16 inches, okay? Okay, because we got a single track which is 16, then we have half, approximately half of another track overlapping it here. So it makes, I would say that's about 23 or 24 inches wide together, those two, right? And that carries on up to here. So that's 24 inches there, approximately. And if we go up to here, where these two rocks are here, that's also the same width as this. So you could use the track over here, because it's on the same plane as that. You can measure it pretty accurately. And I reckon this is around 20 inches, maybe 19 or something. But within about an inch, you can get a good size measurement of this, okay? So it was pretty large. So basically, there's the measurement. This thing's just sitting there. Now, of course, it's probably slightly wider than that because it leans back this way. The head or the helmet comes back, so it's actually a bit wider than 20, if anything. But we're going to call it 20 for now, just to keep it simple. And it's slightly higher than 20, I would say, about 21. So I've got all these clips on here, which you can look at. There's also this little thing here, which is only about 2 or 3 inches, which looks like a petrified head. But it's very unclear because it's so small, okay? There's a couple of other things. There's a thing that looks like a wheel with kind of spiky parts to it here, which is strange, okay? This is from the mass right version, not the mass left. But that's small and quite a long way away, unfortunately. I mean, that, for starters, stood out at me, just jumped out at me straight away, even in the raw image, before I'd done any colour correction. Insane, right? There's no possible way that that's random. You do get some rocks where they've got a couple of holes in, they look a little bit like a face at a long distance, but when you get up close to them, they're not. This is carved. It's crude, but it's carved, okay? Very crude. And may have been attached to this thing here, who knows? It's got the same luminosity as this rock here. Very same colour, similar coloration and pitting on it and everything. I would say it's the same age, and it's very likely that it could have been attached to this as well. So that looks like it's broken off this, and it's just sitting there. Different versions of the helmet. The two raw clips, this is left and right. There are very slight differences. Now these have been both treated exactly the same at the same time. This one actually looks slightly bigger on the right because it's nearer the actual Rover. And look at the detail. We have what seems to be a bronze or similar type of material helmet with a crest. And we have an eye here, although there's some vague detail there which looks a bit confusing. So there's some damage here. Then we have a cheek guard coming out here. We have a chin sticking out. We have teeth here, a gaping mouth with teeth inside, or maybe a tongue or something inside it, okay? Sticking up. Extraordinary detail. Right, this is the darker one. And if we look at this here on the right, you can see in the mouth there are teeth here. They look damaged, some of them. There's a small kind of snout here, and we got sort of a bag under the eye here that's like where the eye is, just here. Now, pay attention to this helmet, because I'm going to show you now that this is not carved, because we have some very specific details in here, which I don't think you would get on a carving or a statue. A lot of the heads that I have shown on Mars are made from stone. They're literally carved from stone. Some look like they're moulded from clay, perhaps. I've also shown what appear to be bronze statues, okay, or parts of bronze statues. That's what I thought this was initially, but when you look at these details in the mouth here, and if you look very carefully on the left one here, the back, down here where my cursor is, there's like a wheel with spikes on it. Let me zoom into that, just here. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, it's got 5 spikes, like a spur. Now that's similar to a spur you would get on a cowboy boot, or a cavalry officer would have them on his boot, right? Very strange to have that on a helmet, right? But pay attention to this helmet shape, okay? Let's look at the left one. It's got this line coming across here. And then we have the cheek guard that comes right down to the bottom, okay, which is more crinkly. It's got more sort of divots in it, okay? Now, look again at the left one. We have this line here. You can see it quite clearly now, this line, because that's the top of the helmet where the head is inside, and this is the side of the head and the cheek guard, which is really large and comes right down to the bottom here. And then you can see those spikes on that wheeled thing at the back, which I'm calling a spur, okay? Now, why you would have that on the back of the helmet, I have no idea. Absolutely crazy. I don't know why that's there. It may be decorative, I don't know. There's a sort of damaged part here. So we got the front of the helmet, just the eye just here. There seems to be part of a nose guard just here, guarding the nose, like you would get on a helmet on Earth. And you can see the mouth detail here as well. You can see the moulding of the helmet, the way it was made, and the fact that it's got this large cheek guard that comes right out here and down to the bottom. So it completely covers the back of the head. Insane detail. The reason it's good is because it's not too far from the Rover and is quite large. Okay, this is almost 2 foot wide. This is way, way bigger than a human head. A human head would be a fraction of this, less than half this height. A human skull, if it was sat there, would come up to about here, where that part is there. And would only, I mean, it's just insane, the size of some of these things. As I've said before, that some of the Martians seem to have been giants of some sort. Many of the skulls that I've shown are human size, but this is way bigger, okay? 4 or 5 times the size in capacity of a human skull, I would say, okay? So there we are. Now, I'll show you the raw clip of that again, just to prove that it's real. It's hard to look at. It's so bright. Now, I use a very basic program to do this, and you can replicate what I'm doing here on pretty much any graphics software, because I'm just doing it with numbers, so you can see what numbers I'm using here. You darken it to about 40 or 43 or something like that. A little bit of contrast, maybe 3. But the most important thing to do is to add blue, and I add about, usually around 35-ish, maybe 36. Okay? Then you need to desaturate, because you've darkened it a lot. Desaturate by about 20 or near that, 18 maybe. Let's go darker. Now this is extremely bright, because we have a bright metal. Now when you have a bright metal object like this, it's very reflective and a bit hard to look at, so you need to go darker. So let's go down to about 35 or 33, there we are. A bit of contrast and a little bit of brightness there, but we're getting a reflection off that, so actually let's go even darker. There we are, down to 30. Let's desaturate a bit more, it's gone very red. Let's go to about 23, and then I'll add a bit of hue to it to bring some yellows back in to the image, just a little bit to warm it up, okay? Let's desaturate a bit more. 25, there we are. So that's basically what I did, okay? It's that simple. You can see the numbers I've used. You can replicate that on Photoshop or any other similar program. This is a real basic $20 sort of thing I use, not because it's that good, because it's very, very quick. And it's easy and no fuss. And you don't need to learn much or do anything with it. It just does a basic job, okay? Really simple. If you want to know where I get my software from, just ask me in the comments below the video, and I'll let you know what software I use. And most of it's either free or very cheap, okay? I don't tend to use expensive software. There's no need. So there we are, and let's do that, and then flip it to negative. There we are. That's what I did. You can see that line coming across here. So we've got the top of the helmet and then the guard coming right down. You can see the mouth. Insane. Absolutely insane. And when you zoom in, you can actually see teeth here, look, sticking up. And then the eye's not very clear. It seems to sort of a bit blurred out there for some reason. And then there's that spur thing on the back there. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With 5 little spikes on it. Okay, this is the right view. Look at those teeth, look at the mouth. Insane. There's a negative of that, okay? This isn't a great quality image, and this is quite small. This is about 4 inches, maybe 5 in size. Okay, so this isn't very big. This is a helmet, but what's cool about this one, this is from Rover Sol 1409. This one has a breathing apparatus. So this is a helmet, but much more modern, and it has a pipe coming out from the nose part here. Okay, and you can even see that in the raw image here. So this is more like a sort of modern helmet, not an old bronze thing like we have today. Okay, but there are other old ones like this. This is also Curiosity Rover. Now this was just sitting on a rock. Now what I think this was a burial here, because there's a group of rocks around it which seem to have fallen down, and it's on a sort of platform, and when you enhance it, it goes bronze, that sort of bronzy colour like this one here on the right. Now this is a Greek helmet in the top right corner, just for comparison. But look at this bent nose guard and damage. This looks like it's been hit with a blunt instrument, just here, right in the face, like a mace or hammer. This is Perseverance Sol 363, and this is only about 3 or 4 inches in size. Left and right view. And this looked more like a carving, but we have another crested helmet which comes up round like this, and then a head inside here with teeth sticking out here. So is that a carving, or is it a petrified head in a helmet? And then there is this one, which is also one of my favourites. This is Curiosity Rover 1080. Okay, this is 2020 I found this one. This is also very large, and is similar in size to the one we're looking at today, but we have a totally different design here. We have a very flat top to the helmet, and a square back, almost here, quite angular. And the side of it is all kind of broken away here. So that's also damaged. But we also have a head inside. We've got a closed eye here. We have a mouth here. But we also have some kind of apparatus attached to the nose, which looks like some kind of breathing apparatus, which is probably attached to the helmet on the cheek guard on the opposite side. Insane. Absolutely insane. So they were using rebreathing gear of some sort, which, like I've said many times before, indicates that there was still fighting going on the surface of Mars after the atmosphere changed dramatically. In other words, they couldn't breathe normally on the surface. They had to use helmets with breathing apparatus. We have older helmets like this that look like they're from the Bronze Age on Earth, or Iron Age even. We're talking thousands of years ago on Earth. That's the similarity I'm drawing here. And then you have standalone helmets like this. This seems to be a helmet with a crest on the top, but it's very tall. And we've got some interesting detail here. Now, is that an actual helmet, or is this a carving of a helmet? Who knows? Let's just flip that to negative. Look at this detail at the top here. There's no way that that's just a rock, because you can see that this is interlocking, this detail at the top here. Interlocks into there. Right? You don't get that in a normal rock. Absolutely not. And then we have insane ones with breathing apparatus like this, which is heavily, heavily pitted and eroded away, or even melted, some people have said. And we've got a head inside this. This is also quite large. This is over a foot. Maybe 14 inches. So the head inside could be human-sized, I would say. We've got a mummified head inside, and we also have complex gear attached to the nose and face here, like that other one I just showed you. But look at the pitting in it. Absolutely insane. So this looks like it's kind of been melted, and it's all got all these kind of weird nodules on it. And if you go through my playlist, it will give you all the details on these that you want, and you can link to the images and the Gigapans and see all these. So I do advise you go to that playlist and check it out. Some of them were wearing modern helmets with breathing gear later on, but this I think is earlier, and shows someone wearing what seems to be a bronze helmet. Okay, so thanks for watching. I will see you soon.